What's up YouTube, it's Benny here with Benny's Fishing. On today's Tutorial Tuesday, we're kind of backtracking a little bit. I know last week we talked about fishing baits. Well, about halfway through the video, if you watch, you can actually kind of see the oops moment where I realized I didn't talk about hooks yet. So, that's what today is all about. So, to go over a quick, I guess, summary, like the layout of a hook. So I'm going to use this guy as my background, so you guys can see nice and clear. So the part up here that you feed your line through, that's called the eye. This section here, this is called the shank. Then you have down here, this is the bend. Then you have the barb, which is the sharp, pointy on the inside. Then you have the point, and then you have the space in between here, the barb and the shank. That's called the gap. So that's just a quick rundown of the different, what each part of the hook is actually called. There are hundreds of different types of hooks. I'm going to go over pretty much the main ones I use. They're some of the most common ones as well. And I might even touch on some of the other ones. So the first one that I have is called a treble hook. Again, I'm going to use the bright orange to hopefully make it easier for you guys to see. So, as you can see, it's got 3 points in one hook. This is mainly used on your crankbaits, your hard baits, jerk baits, top waters, stuff like that, are going to have these already on them. So these can be somewhat difficult to fish in grassy areas with a lot of coverage, because they tend to hang under the bait and get snagged on stuff. So the second one is pretty much the most common. It is called a bait hook. Now, the biggest thing that makes this different is this actually has, I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see it, it has barbs on the back of the shank. And what those barbs do is that holds your bait in place. So you can put a worm on here, like a live worm, and hook it several times, and it'll actually hold the worm on the hook. Like I said, this is one of the most common hooks out there. Real quick, I'm showing you the biggest examples I have of these specific hooks. Do know that they come in varying different sizes and colors. So, for example, the bait hook that I just showed you, this guy, like I said, it's one of the biggest I have. And to show you the opposite on that scale, here's another size of the same hook. So as you can see, varying different sizes and colors. So just because I show you one hook doesn't mean that's the only size for that hook. But anyways, to the next type of hook is your circle hook. Hold on, make it the backdrop. The circle hook is named after its shape, obviously, because where the bend comes around, the barb and the point make almost a circle. These are more used for live bait, and so by that I mean like minnow, worm, stuff like that. A lot of people use these for catfish, and the point of the circle, what it does is, you know, the fish will eat it. It'll keep the hook out of the fish's throat. Like, it'll slide down, but it'll slide back out. And when you go to set the hook, it'll actually turn, and the hook itself will get caught on the lip in the corner of the mouth, which is where you want it. It won't cause damage to the fish, and it'll penetrate, and you'll get a good hook set. This also requires less hook setting power, so you don't need to, you know, pull on the rod nearly as much as like your bait hooks, your worm hooks, and your swim bait hooks, which I will be getting to those here in a minute. So the next one is, which you guys saw on the last video, is a worm hook. So this particular worm hook, the shank here, has 2 bends in it. And that's so you can feed your plastic worms or other artificial baits, soft plastics, up here, up by the eye, and then down here by the bend, to actually make them weedless. That way you don't have to worry about snags and stuff like that. That actual way of rigging it so it's weedless is called Texas rig. These hooks also tend to be very strong. And then next on my list is swim bait hooks. Now these are a lot of fun. So you see the little spring on there? What you do with this, and this will probably be on my next tutorial Tuesday, is the spring goes into whatever you're using as your swim bait, like paddle tails, stuff like that. You rig it just like you would a Texas rig, except you don't thread it up on the shank. You put the end on the coil, and it comes out straight. And what this does is it helps keep your bait lined up, so as you're retrieving it, it's getting its full range of motion that it is designed to have. These also come in weighted, so this is a weightless one. Let me see if I can quickly grab a weighted one for you guys to see. So here's an example of a weighted one. It just has a little weight in the bottom. That way it keeps your swim bait oriented the correct way. Some of the other bait hooks, not bait hooks, but some of the other hooks you can get into are like jig hooks. Do a little dig. No, I'm kidding. So they're designed to go with a specific type of like grub bait or stuff like that. Let's see if I have any others. You have tube hooks, which are designed to go with tube baits. It's a type of soft plastic. I don't really fish tubes. So here's an example. Another one that I do like is your stand-up hooks. So basically, you put your plastic on it, your soft plastic, and the weight causes the hook to sit like this. This little wire, if you will, this guy right here, that makes it weedless. So what you do is when you reel it in, it'll blop, sit like this, and the backside of whatever you have on here is going to stick up, and if the water is moving, it's going to move, give you all kinds of action, and it'll work really good. So that's just a real quick rundown of different hooks I use. And just like with everything else, everything has its purpose. You know, you're not going to use, I mean, you could, it's not, you could use, you know, a worm hook like this for catfish and just use regular bait. I mean, you can put a minnow on this and fish with it. It won't make that big of a difference. But it's just little things that will help increase your chances of getting strakes if you're target fishing, you know, fishing for specific species. Because, I mean, let me show you a treble hook I have. This guy is specifically designed for fishing for carp. Can I catch a carp on a regular bait hook? Yeah. But this is actually designed to hold, so you can pack in homemade baits and hide the hook, so the carp sucks this up while it's eating, and it can't feel the hook until you set the hook. So it's a lot of little stuff. Again, it's not going to make or break. It'll help you become a better fisherman. I just dropped hooks. That being said, I probably won't go too much into detail on hooks. I'm sorry, on weights. But, I mean, just know that there's several different types. Like this guy has a hole in it, goes straight through. I don't know what he's specifically called. You've got drop shot weights. They have a hook on it, so it'll go on the end of a line. You have bullet weights that look just like what they're called. They look like bullets. These will actually pair up really good with your worm hooks. You tie them on right, like that. I call these guys pinch weights, crimple weights. I don't know, but they got the little groove in them. You can take a pair of pliers and squeeze them shut, and then you can squeeze them open again over here. Weights are weights. Depending, you know, again, you can get away with using pretty much any weight for any situation. But I think that's about it for today's video. It was real quick. But, yeah. So you guys know the drill. And I'll see you on the water.